Good morning, hello, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time of the day it is for you. Hi, how are you? I hope all is well with you. It is 8:10 on December the 10th, 8:10 a.m., December the 10th. And here this on in the morning. I usually come on do a video at night, but I'm here in the morning to do a video. I missed yesterday. I had a lot going on, and when I got in here, I was too exhausted to do a video. I would have been jumping all over the place like I do normally, but it would have been to the 1,000 degree. I'd have been here, all over the place. So I was like, I can't do a video when I'm that exhausted. So I want my videos to have some kind of content, some kind of, you know, encouraging or something, like that. But when I do I just talk from my heart. I don't really have anything written down. I just talk from what's in me from my heart. And I'm gonna give you a little backstory on me. So, my mother died when I was 7 years old. I was 7 years old when I lost my mother to breast cancer. And a motherless child kind of has a hard time, I guess, because when, like, my grandmother raised us, I'm gonna start off with that. My grandmother raised us, and she was an older woman raising three young kids. My See, I don't know all the ins and outs of different things that happened, but I know some of it, bits and pieces of it. I know that when my mom passed, my dad had it really hard. I mean, she was a love of his life, and he just went downhill. It was just like he couldn't come back up. He was drowning in his sorrow, his hurt, his grief, and everything. And it could have been a little guilt on his behalf, on his part, because now I'm opening myself up. I'm being transparent. This is Paula's story. This is what happened to Paula, So I don't know how everybody else feels, but I know how Paula feels about the situation. Growing up, I know we lived in North Philly. I think it was what's that, Diamond Street. I think it was Diamond Street or Susquehanna. No, I think it was Diamond, because Diamond goes this way. I think it was Diamond Street, and there was a high rise. We lived in the projects. And my grandmother lived like across the street from where the projects were. And I used to love going over her house, and she was a grandmother, strict, but gave us little different things. You know how grandmothers are. But I just love going over there. And my dad was a heavy drinker back then. I mean, he would come in the house drunk, yelling and screaming. And I think as a young child, I started developing dislike for my dad because of the fact that he used to beat the mess out of my mother. And I often look back and wonder, is that why God took my mother when we were such young children? Because he wanted to save her from that kind of abuse. I mean, my dad, he wasn't a big, tall man, but he was, kind of husky. And his hands were huge. And for him to just think it was okay to just beat his wife, my mother, like he was beating a dude in the street. My mother was so mild and meek, and she would cry, of course, but she never I used to see this as a young child. I've never remember seeing my mom fight him back or try to fight him back. All I know is that he would come in the door when we was in the projects. He would come in. I don't know what the argument was about, of course, because as a kid, all I know is that he would start yelling. I was afraid. I would go somewhere and sit down, try to get out of his way. He wouldn't hit any of us, but he would go to my mom and just pound on her, and then you see just blood just coming out of her mouth and out of her nose, and I'm sitting there on a radiator crying because my mom is being hurt. And then he would take his drunken self, go in the bedroom or go in the bed, wherever he was. He would leave from the kitchen area where my mother was. I remember this one particular time in the kitchen, and he would leave. He left that kitchen area and went, and my mom and we ran. I remember running over to her, and she was saying something like, "It's okay, it's okay," and I'm crying and crying, like not knowing as a child why this was happening. But I do remember that. And I grew up after she passed, and I always wonder if because the way he would beat her was that she developed breast cancer from him just beating her and hitting her all over her body, and the breasts are tender. Could she have developed breast cancer from that? I don't have answers to it. So I always wonder. I have a lot of things in my mind that I always wonder what could have been and why did it happen that way? Why couldn't I grow up with a mother? I'm not going to cry. I'm a big girl. I'm going to try not to. I always wonder how it would be to have a mother. I know my life would have been different if I had grown up with a mother. My mother was a registered nurse. She would go out and go to work every day. Far as what I remember, she would go to work. She was a registered nurse. And I think she used to work at the hospital downtown. What was the name of it? On Lombard Street. Graduate Hospital is where my mom used to work as a registered nurse. And when she died, my dad couldn't take care of 3 small children because he was an alcoholic, and I'm pretty sure he used to smoke marijuana because I found the I was a pistol as a kid. It was my dad had this wooden little case, this little wooden box, and one day I don't know what I was doing, but I opened it and I saw all this like the tobacco stuff in it. I didn't know what it was. And I was like, "Daddy, what is this?" He was like, "Give me that box. Give me that box. Don't you ever touch this box again." That was it. I never knew what it was, but as I got older, I was like, you know what? I wonder if he was smoking marijuana, or we call it weed. I wonder if he was smoking that then. I don't know. But I know we moved from the projects, and we moved in, I think, they bought a house. Probably pretty sure it was my mom's income and everything. My dad was a truck driver. I think he worked here and, all over the place. But my mom had the more stable income, and I believe it was her income that we were able to get a house. We moved into, I think it was a 3-bedroom house on Millick Street in West Philly, I think it was near 60th and Market. It was a little small street called Millick Street. And that's the street where we lived. We had a dog named Snowball. Snowball was a mutt. Every time somebody would ring the bell, knock on the door, Snowball would run upstairs and go under my bed and hide. Like, you mutt. But he was such a friendly dog. He was just a friendly dog. And my dad was like, "I'm getting rid of this dog. I'm getting rid of this dog. He is no good. He's no good." But he was a pet. He was our pet. And he took Snowball, and we never saw Snowball again. I don't know. But we had Snowball for a little while, but he wanted a watchdog. I guess when he was out doing whatever he was doing, working or whatever, he wanted a watchdog because we lived in the era of the gun wars and the rivals and the shootouts. We would get off the L and you hear while you're on the L, all you hear is these gunshots. Boo, 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 boo. The gunshots, they were gang warring and everything. And my mom and dad would hurry up and we would run to the house. And thank God that none of us got hit by any gunfire because they didn't care. They was gang warring and shooting to get up each other and whatever. But we were in the house, and if we were in the house and they started, we had to turn the lights out and get on the floor. It was bad. It was bad. But living there was awesome because we always in the house and we had a dog, and I don't think we had a cat. Then we got another dog. My uncle or my grandpa gave us a dog. I think it was a German Shepherd. It was a German Shepherd named Duke. Duke ran away. And we couldn't find Duke. And I always wondered how, and when my grandpa lived in Jersey, South Jersey, I always wondered how in the world did Duke get from West Philadelphia all the way back to South Jersey. That dog went home. He was like, this ain't my home. I don't want to live in this city. My dad had my grandpa had a farm. He was like, I'm not a city dog. I'm going back home. And he found his way. We couldn't find Duke for weeks. My grandpa called my dad and told him Duke is here. Because he called him and told him Duke ran away. We didn't know what happened to Duke. But Duke went all the way back to South Jersey from West Philadelphia. That dog was determined. Dog has great sense of smell, and he smelt his way back home, eating probably what he could or whatever, but he survived and he made it all the way back to the farm, and we never got Duke again. He's like, we're not doing that. Duke, leave Duke where Duke is. Duke wanted to be on that farm. Let Duke be on the farm. But it was just so funny that my dad was like, Duke is home. Duke went all the way back home. Wow. That's another wonderment. Something I was wondering about, like, how in the world did that dog get all the way back there? Dogs are smart and they're resilient. They are determined. They will find wherever they need to go. They will find their way back home. Now, days that this time you hear about sometimes on the radio or read about how the family lost a dog or the dog ran away and weeks or months and years. And then the dog remembers them and he comes back home. So that was one of the things that happened to us about the dog. I know we had hamsters. We had a lot of. Did we have a bird? No, my uncle had a parrot. My uncle had a bird, and the bird would. I didn't like that bird. That bird got on my nerves. Every time somebody say something, the bird was repeating it. Like, is that the parrot? That's the bird that talk, right? The parrot. That bird would cuss. Every time they would start cursing, he would start cursing. That bird got on my nerves. I'm drinking this is turmeric, lemon and lime, and some cayenne pepper and water. I boil my lemons and my limes. I put turmeric in it. I put cayenne pepper in it, and I boil it. And it's an awesome. I usually put honey in it, but this is an awesome morning drink. Drink it, and you will just be awesome. And it helps with your digestive system. As we are I'm a woman of a certain age. So this really helps. Excuse me. But anyway, yeah, my dad was close to one of his brothers, Uncle Bobby. Uncle Bobby had 5 boys, and we would always be over Uncle Bobby's house. Uncle Bobby lived in Winfield, I think. It was Winfield. He lived in Winfield, and we was always over there. My dad and his brothers, they were gamblers. So we would always go over there. I loved going over Uncle Bobby's house with Aunt Edna and the boys, and we would just play and just sit there. It was something to be out of our environment sometimes. You know how you go over your cousin's house and you like, oh my goodness, I have so much fun. They would come over our house too. And we yeah, life with living with my parents was as a young child. I remember these things. And as a young child, it was awesome. My brother, Gregory was younger than me. My brother was younger than me. He is younger than me. He's still here. He's younger than me. I'm the middle child, and I don't know. I know my sister had a bike, and for Christmas, they got her a bike for Christmas. They bought me a bike for Christmas. I don't know what they bought my brother for Christmas, but my sister knew how to ride a bike, and I was learning how to ride my bike. And around that time was when my mom started getting sick. So we was over my grandmother's house a lot because my mom had to go back and forth to the hospital, and probably back then they didn't have, not probably, I'm sure back then they didn't have a lot of treatment that they have now. Maybe had they had it, maybe she still would have been here, or maybe it was in God's plan that he take her, because the beatings didn't stop when we moved into the house. My dad worked on houses, and he designed the house, and I remember it was like turquoise walls, like this, or was it a jade, like a deep turquoise or a deep jade? You know, turquoise is my favorite color. Maybe that's where it came from. But like a deep jade or turquoise on the wall, and it was stucco. I don't know why he put stucco on the wall, but every time I would put my hand up on the back of the couch, I would get scratched all on my arms, my elbows. Ouch. Every time we bump up against the wall, we got a mark or scratch because the walls were stucco. And then he put some kind of black, he designed this design through the walls. And that was black. It was a black, like, wavy design all going through all the wall and everything. It was cute. It was different because I've never seen anything like that before, but those walls were dangerous. Don't fall up against the wall. Don't put your arms on the back of the couch. Don't even lean. You couldn't even lean your head back on the wall. You know how you fall asleep, lean your head back? Don't do any of that. But those walls were pretty, but they were dangerous. I didn't get a chance to learn how to ride my bike. I was learning. I think I was just at the point of the training wheels coming off. Just at that point of training wheels coming off, when my mom got sick and all of that kind of stopped. We were back and forth at my grandmom's, and I know one particular day, I mean, we went all over the place. My dad, he had a station wagon before my mom passed and everything. We went all over. Atlantic City was what's happening. Atlantic City now, all these casinos and everything, it was no casinos. Atlantic City was where the amusement parks was. It was you go to the docks and you get on the boats, and it was just awesome. It was so great to go to Atlantic City. We would go to Atlantic City all the time and driving down there and watching it. And then he had family in Atlantic City. We had his brothers and my cousins are from Atlantic City. They lived in Atlantic City. They grew up there. So we would go down there and see them, and they go to the beach and get in the water and ride the rides. Atlantic City was what's happening. Then they started building all these casinos, and they took out all the amusement. But Atlantic City back in the 60s and the 70s was happening. It was really nice. And I don't know if you all remember this place. I always thought it turned into Six Flags because it was this, I don't remember where it was. I'm not sure of where it was located. I'm not sure where it was located. If it was located in Jersey or not, I'm not sure. But it was this place called Six Gun Territory. If any of y'all know what I'm talking about, you can comment on this video. But it was called Six Gun Territory, where we would see the cowboys and the Westerners, acting out how, shooting a gun, and it was just awesome. It was really nice. And that was also at a small amusement park. It was a small amusement park, and then they had the little shows that they would do there. So I always wondered if Six Flags, if Six Gun Territory turned into Six Flags, because I think it was in Jersey as well. I had to Google that and find out myself. But yeah, that was, and we went down Delaware. We would just drive all over the place. Never got on a plane till I got grown. But we had that little station wagon, and we would get in that station wagon and we would just go. It was really awesome as a kid. I remember a lot of that. I don't know what the time frame was from us doing all of this until my mom passing. I don't know, the time frames. I just know I remember a lot of this stuff. I just remember having fun and doing this. And I remember getting a radio, or was it it was a what you call them things? Record player. I remember getting a record player. I don't know if it was for Christmas or if it was for my birthday or whatever it was. I remember getting a record player. I would plug it into the extension cord. I would be up in the room listening to it, and I don't know the music I was listening to, but I would play the music, and that was mine. It was mine, and I loved it. Anything I got, it was just like, oh my gosh, I loved it, and I loved that little record player. One particular time, excuse me, I was maybe about, I know this time, I think I was about 5, maybe 5. Excuse me. I may get the ages wrong. I know I had all of this happened before, when I was like, before 7. I think my mother passed in maybe October of that year, of my 7th year. I got this record player. Like I said, I don't know if it was for my birthday or if it was for Christmas before, whatever. But we were going somewhere, and I couldn't, and she always told me, unplug it from the extension cord. You unplug it from the extension cord when we're leaving, we're getting ready to leave. And she was like, Paula, come on. So I'm like, I'm trying to unplug it, and it wouldn't unplug. It wouldn't unplug, so I stuck it in my mouth. I remember sticking it in my mouth to pull it, and all I felt was zzz, and then I fell down. That was it. And after that, I don't remember what, if they came upstairs, what happened after that, but I do have 2 marks right here on the side of my mouth from getting shocked, from putting the extension cord in my mouth and because I was trying to unplug it and pulling it. And guess what? I didn't do that again. I will ask. And I think if I can, I think my dad was yelling. Somebody was yelling. Why didn't I ask? I was trying to unplug it. When I finally came to, I don't know how long it was. I was trying to unplug it. I got shocked bad, because I remember, and zzz, and then I could hear it, and then I just went. I don't know if I fell on the floor, the bed, or whatever. I know I fell somewhere, and that was that. I have memories from before the time my mother passed. But after she passed, my dad, like I said, he couldn't take care of us. We ended up going to one of his sisters. Excuse me, one of his sisters. And my dad was out there. He was, working. He was gambling. He was getting money. He was getting money. I don't know how he was getting it, but he was getting money. And they knew that about my dad. So he would say, the stories he would tell was Every time I turned around, she was asking me for money, asking me for money, asking me for money. And he would take money over there because we were there. She had 2 children, and us 3, it made 5. So it was a bigger family. She took care of us. And of course, he had to pay, her for us to stay there. And like I said, I don't know the conversation, what happened with my dad and my grandmom. I don't know if she was like, bring them kids to me. And we ended up going to live over there with my grandmother. It was so strict. We didn't have a TV. We were used to, watching TV. We didn't have a TV. We couldn't wear pants. We couldn't do a lot of stuff. And I didn't like it. I said, I don't like it here, And certain things that I don't like to eat. And one thing about my parents, they never made us eat anything that we didn't like. I don't like liver. Never did. And don't think I ever will. I don't like corn. I can't stand corn. And just certain things. And beans. Now, I eat beans. But the way my grandmother would fix them beans was like, I don't want this. And we would give the food. I would give the food to my grandpa. I'd be like, Grandpa, please eat this, please. I don't want it. My sister sat next to the garbage pail, so her food went in the garbage pail. And my grandpa ate my food, or whatever I could slide over there into the garbage pail, went in the garbage pail. I couldn't, it was just horrible. It was just no taste. It was just whatever. But anyway, when we moved there, and my grandmother, I don't remember what she fixed. My sister was a spokesperson for us. And she was like, we don't eat that. We don't eat that. We don't like that. That's not what we eat. My grandmother was like, you going to eat whatever I put on this plate and put in front of you. You're going to eat it. So we had to eat whatever it was. My grandmother called herself a gourmet cook. I don't know where she got her cooking lessons from, but not saying she couldn't cook. It's just certain things that she couldn't cook. She called herself a gourmet cook. Didn't have any seasonings. It was just bland. And it was just, and I think I got a lot of, as I grew up, I got a lot of her traits because I don't cook with a lot of salt. I do seasonings. I do season my food, but I don't cook with a lot of salt. Just certain things that I did with my children that I didn't, when my kids were growing up, they didn't really, I did give them like the sweetened cereal, but they didn't get it a lot. We didn't get it at all as kids. I don't know if you all remember something called puff wheat or puff rice. It wasn't Rice Krispies. It was puff wheat or puff rice. Google it. That was the most horriblest cereal. It was horriblest. If that's a word, that cereal was horrible. And we had to eat it. And she would sit there and watch us to make sure we ate everything she put on that plate. Yeah. It was bad. It was bad growing up. But I enjoyed it. That's all I knew. That's all I knew. And we were in Catholic school. My mom had, I remember I was in the 2nd grade in Catholic school when she died. And my grandmother, we were going back and forth because when we was living with my aunt, we stayed in Catholic school. My dad was paying the tuition or whatever. And we were still going to Catholic school when I moved with my grandma. And Catholic school, I was in 2nd grade. Catholic school, I was in 2nd grade. We moved my grandma. She was like, they're not going to Catholic school. You're going to confuse them because that's not what we believe. That's not our religion. So they took us out. She took us out of Catholic school and got us transferred to the public school and called William D. Kelly on 28th and Oxford. Yeah, 28th and Oxford in North Philadelphia. That was the school I went to. And Catholic schools, I think Catholic schools were a little different for as their grading or whatever. I'm not sure of all of that. But I was in the second grade in Catholic school. When I got to public school, they put me back into the first grade. Don't ask me why. I have no idea why. I was a kid. Never questioned as I got older why I was put back. I don't know, whatever. But they put me back and they put me into the first grade in public school. I used to love Catholic schools. I had some teachers that were nuns. I had teachers that weren't nuns, and it was a really good experience. And um, not that my dad couldn't pay it, my grandma didn't want us there. You're going to confuse them. That's not our religion. We don't believe in this and we don't believe in that. But it wasn't even the fact that they were teaching us their religion. We had to go to what's it called, mass or whatever, once a week or whatever. I remember going there, and it was fine to me. It was fine to me. I really enjoyed it. And fast forwarding all of that, I did write a book. A lot of that is in my book. Whenever I get it, whenever I finish getting it edited, it will be out. So it's fast forward to now. To now. I'm 55 now. So we're going to fast forward all them years up to now. The other day I was thinking, I think often, what would my life have been if my mother was here? And I was always told, you never question God. You don't question God to ask him why. You don't question him. So I've never asked him or questioned him, why did my mother have to leave us? Leave such small children. My brother was 5 and he has no recollection of my mother. He doesn't even know. It was so bad that he developed a fantasy about what a mother was, or where she was. Because I found out when, I don't know how old we were when he was talking to, he was old, he was grown, talking to, he had a girlfriend, and she was such a sweetheart, and she loved my brother. Until one day she said, she said, how's your mom? Have you talked to her lately? I said, my mother? She was like, yeah, your mom lives in Florida, right? You talked to her? I said, oh my gosh. He didn't know how to, I think it was, he didn't know how to explain that he doesn't have a mother. So he developed this fantasy that the reason why he doesn't see his mother, or his mother isn't around, is because she moved to Florida. When I found that out, it broke me. It broke my heart for him to not want to accept that my mother died, that our mother died. And he knew that she wasn't here, that we didn't have one, but I guess he, at 5 years old, you may not understand what death is, or you may not understand it fully of what it is. But he got this story in his mind, and I don't know how many people he done told that story to. My mom lives in Florida. I don't get to see her. She moved down there, and that was it. And he said that so to get people off of him, but asking any questions. I don't have a relationship with my mom. I talk to her on the phone every once in a while, but I don't get a chance to go see her, and she doesn't come up here. That was the story. And I didn't understand, and it just broke my heart. And I asked him, and he didn't give me a good answer. It was just that he was like, it's just something I said, kind of nonchalant. But I often wondered how, I know if my mother was here watching me grow up into adulthood, things would have been totally different. like I said in one of my other videos, I wanted to go into the Air Force. And if I had a child, she would have taken my child, and she would have pushed me. Do whatever you want to do. Go for it. Go for it. And I didn't have a support system like that. So I didn't go into the Air Force. There was a lot of things I didn't do because of people saying, "Oh, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that." That's not what you should do, and that's not going to help you, and you this, and you got these kids and all of this stuff. Never had that kind of support system that will be like, "Go for it. I got your back. I'm there for you. I'll help you any way you can." No, wasn't none of that. And after a while, I became a loner. It was just me and my family, my children, and my husband at the time. It was just us. And that's all I wanted it to be. Sorry, y'all. Because I felt as though like I said, I didn't have the support. I didn't have the help. I was talked about by my father and other people. I was talked about, and he would talk about me, and you slow. And he said I had scarlet fever when I was a baby. He said I had scarlet fever when I was a baby, and that damaged my brain. It damaged my brain. So that's why I don't how do you say it? He didn't call me retarded. Did he? He might have. I don't know. He might have, but it was like I didn't learn. I didn't learn like other people, and I was slow. I needed extra help. And and being put in me, and growing up with my grandmother, I was always called dumb. You are so dumb. You are a dummy. Not knowing, I don't think it had anything to do with the scarlet fever. If it did, I don't know. Who knows? But not knowing that I had a learning disability. I didn't learn on the level that my classmates learned on. I learned slower, and it was like repetition is what helped me. I had to keep repeating, and I understood as I got older that I was dyslexic. Because nobody diagnosed me at this, because I knew what these things were. I would get a dictionary. Because I didn't want to be labeled as a dummy. And then I thought, well, maybe I am, because I can't catch on. I can't grasp it. I don't understand. I can't comprehend this. So I thought that maybe I am. That's what they call me as. So maybe I am. I wouldn't talk to people. I was afraid to say things to people or talk, because I didn't want the wrong thing to come out and then they make fun of me. Be like, yeah, you are a dummy. So I was kind of the quiet one. I was quiet. And when I got older, I said, you know what? I need to learn. I need to learn. So I got a dictionary, and I started reading different words in the dictionary, and I would write them down on a piece of paper and write the definition next to it. And I love to read. I would get books, and on my way to work on the bus, I would read books, and if there was a word that I didn't understand what it meant, I would like underline it. I'm like, okay, that's a word I need to underline. Go home, get my book, write it down, write the definition next to it, so the next time I see that word, I know what it means. I did that myself. I did that. Nobody helped me. And like I said before, I found out that I was dyslexic because I would see a number or see a word, and it wasn't like I didn't see the first word. It would be like I would pick the last word or the word in the middle of it. But then I was like, that's not what that's saying. It wasn't making sense to me when I was reading it to myself. So I had to stop, I had to slow down and read the first word of a sentence. Then I would read the first word and be like, okay, that's what that is. And even numbers. Sometimes now, even numbers, if somebody's giving me a number, like if I'm at work, I'm putting their phone number in, not often, but sometimes I mix up the numbers. And then I said, well, that number's not coming up. Then they give it to me again. I'm like, can you give it to me again? And they give it to me again. I was like, oh, I mixed the numbers up. I learned how to deal with it. And I learned what I need to do. Excuse me. I learned what I need to do to be successful and to help myself grow and whatever. I'm not a dummy. And I can't stand anybody, even now, those that are close to me know that word, you cannot call me a dummy. Don't even joke about it. Oh, you so dumb. Ooh, it's a gut punch. It's a gut punch. That word, I don't like that word. Don't even joke around. I never call my kids dumb. I don't even say you acting. Don't even do it. I had to understand and get to the point that I'm not a dummy. I am intelligent. I was told that, when my kids were younger and I was working, my husband, or sometimes I wasn't working because I had the small children. He was working, and we would get food stamps. And my dad would, I was always a private person. I didn't want nobody to know this, that, and the other about me. And he said, "Oh, your life isn't private. Why your life private? Because that person over there, them people in that welfare office know your business." And he was mad because I wasn't sharing what was going on with me personally or financially. I wasn't telling them why. So y'all could say, "Oh yeah, let me help." So he could say, "Let me help you with this finance. Let me help you with that," and then take all my money. No. Oh, you got scarlet fever. You had scarlet fever, so you can't develop. You don't understand much, and you need help. You always going to need help because you're dumb, you're slow, your children is slow, and they need to be in special schools, blah, 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 blah. Leave me and my kids alone. That's why I left Philly. I didn't go far because I didn't want to. I always loved the idea of family and love the idea of being close to my family. So I didn't want to go far, like to Florida, to Georgia, Tennessee. I didn't want to go that far. I just wanted you to be able to get on the highway and just get to me. Take you about 45 minutes to an hour to get to me. So that's where I moved. So it took you about 45 minutes to an hour to get to me. But if I knew back then what I know now, yeah, I'd have been in Florida somewhere. California had earthquakes. I have never had a desire to move to California. I do want to visit, but move away from out of Pennsylvania. If I know now what I knew back then, me and my children would be out of Pennsylvania. But I'm still not against the fact of relocating because my children are grown. My oldest is 36 and my youngest is 27. So they past grown. They grown. And I have grandchildren. They're grown, but not my grandchildren. But my children are grown. And if I decide to just get up and go, of course it's going to be planned out. I'm just not going to just throw my stuff in the car and be like, I'm out. I feel like that sometimes. I'll be like, you know what? I can't. I just want to put my stuff in the car, wherever I could fit in my car, and just be gone. And when I get to wherever, I run out of gas. Or I get to wherever I want to stop, and this is where my life gonna be. Start over. But that's not the logical thing to do. You have to plan out, because if you just up and go like that, you end up in a shelter, you end up with no money, you end up scrounging around, taking little odd jobs because you need to eat. You need to find some way to live. And that's not logical. I wouldn't do that. But I feel like it. I can have that feeling. I'm entitled to have that feeling. I do feel like it. So that was a little bit of my backstory. Up to now, I'm still me. I still go through things. I still deal with things. I'm still learning. I'm not a dummy. I realized that many years ago that I'm not a dummy. I don't comprehend. Like, I have to read something. Sometimes I have to read something over and over again. And after a while, I'll be like, you know what? Let me breathe for a minute. Let me put this down and go back to it. I am the type of learner that I learn by experience, hands-on. Hands-on. If I don't have to read a lot to get something, I'm good. But not saying I won't read, because I can read. I can write. I can do, as the old folks say, arithmetic. I can do all of that. So I'm just saying, if I'm the type of learner, I learn hands-on. Just show me what I got to do, and I'm done. I got it. As long as I keep doing it over and over again, ain't nothing to it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. So that's a little backstory on Paula. So I just wanted to get on here and do a video, and I may do one this evening. It's according to what is going on. Okay, so thank you all for joining, for watching my videos. You can comment, you can like the video, you can share the videos if you feel as though someone needs to see my channel. It's okay to share the videos, share the channel. And like and subscribe, so when I put a video up, you will be notified. Thank you all so much. You all have an awesome day and a wonderful weekend. And I see you in the next video. Bye-bye.